Yo, what is up, guys? Nakama here, and I'm at the RWBYcritics Reddit. I don't know, I just felt like scrolling through Reddit today and decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to make a video about Ruby critics. Yeah, because you gotta love this subreddit because the people who made it have balls. And I'm also kind of surprised that this server is this active. And also, I have never seen any other show and any other fictional story have a subreddit dedicated to criticizing it. But I don't know. I kind of it's interesting for it to exist. And I'm also trying to find some bad arguments to talk about. And I mean, it doesn't have to be bad things, right? Like if someone makes a genuine argument that makes sense, then I'm going to say, yeah, it's true. Oh yeah, this is also a very interesting discussion about why Ruby was chosen as the team leader. It has been said or observed that the leaders in the Ruby series aren't all that capable or worse, at worst make things worse, that they aren't old enough, aren't able to make the right decisions and waste their time instead of taking advantage of their time. What do you think will make a good leader or what will show the right type of leadership? For me, it has been four things. Good leaders take responsibility for the decision, good or bad. Good leaders aren't afraid of making hard decisions, yet aren't overeager to make them. Good leaders take care of those under their chain of command. Good leaders have the loyalty of their subordinates and can inspire loyalty. Are there more? But I mean, that's debatable. In my personal opinion, I think Osmond, Ruby, the people who are the main character and kind of at the time of Volume 8 are respected to a degree, are really great people. And I think Oscar is also a really good candidate for a good leader. And Weiss is learning. I think Weiss can become a good leader at the end of Volume 8. But even then, there she was has issues, I guess. Her issues aren't that worst often like Ruby's. Oh no, nothing really. Really nothing. I was hoping for some kind of a discussion to happen, but guess not. Oh, I mean, it was literally posted 40 minutes ago. Whoops on my part. But yeah, in regards to this, it's kind of weird because people are very hypocritical. Good leaders take responsibility for their decisions. What does this even mean? Are you guys I see so many comments saying how much of an irresponsible person Ruby is, or how Yang is, and how Team Ruby doesn't take responsibility for their actions. But people have a very skewed idea of what a responsible person is. If someone is torturing themselves, feeling guilty over what they did in the past, they think, oh, this is such a responsible person, No, there is a horrible person, a person who doesn't love themselves, a person who hurts themselves, and a person who can hurt themselves can easily hurt others. I mean, look at Ironwood. I mean, Winter gave him some criticism during the event, during the fight she had against him in Volume 8, but I think, in my opinion, I think she shouldn't have said no. That's not I mean, it felt natural for her to say that, but it's also she's kind of right. She didn't phrase it the perfect way, but it's kind of hard to phrase it in a perfect way during a fight. It's kind of have a intellectual debatable, super constructed arguments when you're fighting for the death. But even when she was fighting for the death, she kind of made a good point in that Ironwood is sacrificing everyone else. And you also have to understand that, yes, Ironwood is sacrificing other people. People have criticized Winter, saying that, oh, Winter is wrong because Ironwood has sacrificed parts of his body, and he's half metal. And that is also true. So both sides are kind of true. And I also want to say, yeah, both sides are kind of true. And this has to be understood because if a person is so eager to sacrifice themselves, is so eager to play the hero, then they're able to make other people suffer just for what they think is right? Because Ironwood is attached to Atlas, he's conditioned into thinking that this Atlas is the greatest nation of all time, and its people and its technology is so much superior than everyone else in this country. So just like how he sacrifices himself for the sake of his nation or whatever, he's also making other people throw away their lives and make other people do sacrifices and sacrifice other people even though sacrifices could have been avoided. Ironwood has become so accustomed to sacrificing himself and other people that he just kind of grew a bad habit. So long as it's not his precious little Atlas, he's willing to sacrifice anything. I'm not talking about Volume 8. I'm talking specifically about Volume 7. It wasn't the Atlas that had to be constantly be surveillanced. Mantle was being under the strict watch. People at the Atlas would be super chill. There wasn't really much shown, but you can't deny that Ironwood has a bias towards Atlas, and he's just so accustomed to sacrificing himself and being proud of his sacrifices to the point that he kind of developed a bad habit of doing a lot of fucked up shit just because he thinks it's worth it. He's become too cold to himself and to other people. Does RWBY manages a black and white morality? I initially thought that the RWBY as a series was always idealist and the villains were pretty clear, but someone mentioned that it wasn't the case, as people like Cinder and Salem were evil since the beginning, and the system vacuum wasn't perfect. Perfect system fought by the antagonists of the Crown. There are multiple cases of villains being objectively evil with sad past, and even if the vacuum system was failed, the Crown were clearly the ones in the bad side of the story. Wait, what the fuck is the Crown? I think it's about the novels or something. I mean, it's debatable. For maybe the reason why there are clear villains is for how the RWBY managed them, like Valanders, Adam, and Ironwood. She was coward people with particular ideologies and with people to protect, like a Raven, and killing gray morality characters like Sienna. Look, I'm not going to deny that Adam and Ironwood went off the deep end, but hear me out. Ironwood, even in Volume 8, is still overall a great character. Is he paranoid? Is he cold? Is he kind of stressed out? Yes. But it's at the same time, RWBY, Yang, and everyone's kind of over the tips and toes. But you can't tell me that trying to save Atlas and trying to fly this into the sky is it's not the greatest idea, but it's also not the worst idea. And in all honesty, I see a lot of people in real life making similar decisions to Ironwood, what he did in Volume 8. Trying to kill all the members of the council is in a war state is not the worst thing ever. I mean, look at history. The people I realize, the more and more I look at this subreddit, these people, while there are definitely people who just seem to can't stop hating RWBY, but there are also people who just kind of don't understand life in general. Killing a bunch of council members is not the most objectively evil thing. I'm just going to say that straight out. Because people in real life have done very similar stuff to that. I mean, people kind of forget that America kind of threw a atomic bomb towards Japan. That has a thing that actually happened. And I don't think people and Einstein, one of the people who are, people who are respected, knew that the atom bomb will kill a bunch of people. But Einstein made the bomb hoping that it will end the war. And America hoped that by throwing the bomb towards the people, the war will also stop. So compared to nuking Japan, I think Ironwood trying to nuke Mantle is actually much more understandable. Like Ironwood's situation was so hard. Like like if you like pick 10 random people from uh the earth, any random 10 people, and put them in the same situation Ironwood was facing and ask them what decision to make, then I'm pretty sure a lot of people it might even be the majority of people might think, okay, like we need to like uh bring Penny to here so that Atlas can fly into the sky. And Mantle is already doomed anyway, whether we bomb it or not. So I still don't understand why people give so much shit to Ironwood, despite everything he does being logical. Yes, everything he did was cruel, but it was also logical. You know, if anything, I think Ironwood's biggest problem was the fact that he's so prideful that he wasn't willing to work with Oscar, with Team RWBY, and like hear them out. He was kind of like, you either listen to me or you don't listen, or you are my enemy, kind of the thing. He's kind of a really control freak, and also because he's also very he rushes a lot. He's so paranoid about like all of this stuff. Like he lives inside his head. Like he has to sometimes like he always tries to bear all this burden on his shoulder. He just doesn't like trying to follow. Sometimes try to follow other people's lead. He doesn't try to listen to other people and let other people do things for him. Like, you know, he could have said, okay, you know, Team RWBY, I get you. You could like evacuate these people. Like, I'll help you in the meantime. But if things go south, I'll fly with the thing. You know, he could try to be a little bit reasonable with it. But at the same time, I also think that Ironwood was kind of like really, really scared of Atlas falling down. Like, he almost cared about Atlas more than he ever cared about Mantle or anything else, really. To the point that he's so paranoid about Atlas that he wasn't willing to make any risks. That's also kind of the point. He wasn't willing to like stay calm, but also like try. Yeah. If anything, the weirdest thing about Ironwood and the RWBY situation is that Ironwood wasn't actually greedy enough. Team RWBY was very greedy in that they tried to save Mantle and Atlas at the same time. But I think that greed kind of paid off. Whereas Ironwood was kind of like in a very paranoid, defeatist mindset. And he's only that paranoid because he's so attached to Atlas and it's like in its future and what it represents, right? And Adam is an asshole like from the beginning. Like during the Black Thriller, he was willing to blow up. Like he was willing to like let the train with passengers like I don't know, was it blow up? I think that was the context. Yeah, he was trying to blow up. Like he was willing to do that. A bunch of innocent people. And then in Volume 3, he attacked a school where he knew who a bunch of children and teenagers lived who had nothing to do with the persecution he was facing. And he just stormed in just because Cinder said so. And yes, the thing that kind of like makes Adam a little bit sympathetic is that there was certain framing in the sense that it seemed like Cinder was threatening him to do it, but that is not the real reason. Like looking at how he was enjoying it, how he said he was believing it. Because if if Cinder was truly blackmailing Adam to do it, Adam will just say to Blake when he met her, "Hey, Cinder is forcing me to do it. I'm so scared. What do I do? Blake, Cinder is forcing me to do it. But I'm kind of scared of these people who are controlling the Grim. And if I don't obey them, then these people are gonna start killing my people." And we could have said something like that. No, motherfucker said, "Oh, "Hello, darling," and then he proceeded to try and kill like Blake, and then said that like peace was impossible. Like people have so much infatuation with Volume 3 being the best volume. Say whatever you think about like the later volumes. Just know that Volume 1 to 8 has been written by Miles and Carey. Like both of them had huge inputs through Volume 1 to 8. So it's kind of like weird thing where people try to say, oh, Adam was so deep in the Black Trailer, and he was not so deep in Volume 6 and Volume 5. No, that's not the case. The only reason you thought you liked Adam was because you knew nothing about Adam. We only knew something about Adam in Black Trailer, and even then he was willing to like let a bunch of civilians like die in the train accident or something like that. Was the train about to blow up? Yeah, I think it was about to blow up. He was willing to like blow up a bunch of people who are on the train, and that was it. And then we heard what Adam was what kind of person Adam was through Blake's words, and it did not sound good. It did not sound good at all. And we see in Volume 3, he's attacking a bunch of teenagers, trying to kill a bunch of teenagers, and has tried to kill Blake as soon as he saw her. So like, like, where was Adam like a great guy? The only reason you thought that he was kind of like a good guy was because he was supposedly, saying that he was doing it for the good of the faunus. And people, words are really cheap. People can fool words. People can fool others and themselves with words. Adam was kind of fooling other people with doing it for the faunus, and he was also kind of fooling himself. He was truly like egomaniac. He truly had a hero complex from the start, and he really, really wanted to get revenge and make other people suffer just because they hurt him. And the only reason he cared about faunus is because they encouraged his revenge. They encouraged his wild behavior. That's the point. Like that's one of the symbolism and the things that the Adam trailer shows is that Adam was kind of like feeling a bit guilty when Blake's father was criticizing him, and then a bunch of White Fang members was congratulating him and like saying he was a hero for killing a person he could have, who he didn't need to kill. Then Adam was like, oh shoot, these people love me, These people are encouraging my super aggressive revenge desires. So yeah, I'm gonna continue what I'm doing and be cool and kill people. Borderline, Adam was kind of that thing. She was cover people with particular ideas and people to protect, like a Raven. Like Raven is the definition of a great character. Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, why the fuck do you guys want people to be perfect, right? If everyone in the RWBY world was so perfect that they don't have anger, they don't have fear, that they don't have any negative emotions, and people were picture perfect, none of the story would have happened. Everyone will do. In fact, I don't think anyone will do really anything in a perfect world where everyone has achieved, I don't know, nirvana or a higher super consciousness or some sort of like higher super state where everyone is picture perfect. People will just simply just exist. They will do nothing every day. They will just look at the stars, maybe walk around, and they will be super nice to one another. And that will be the story. It will essentially be somewhat similar to RWBYcritics, but even RWBYcritics has a lot of flawed characters. In fact, there's even an argument that in order to make a story that is more interesting in RWBYcritics, they kind of made the RWBY characters more evil and more flawed in RWBYchibi than anything. Like, RWBY is a fucking bitch in RWBYchibi. Like she actually brainwashes Weiss into making her, and forces her to be her friend. In one RWBYchibi episode, that's kind of an evil territory. So yeah, it's kind of weird. People's own like idea of what's black and white and gray are kind of like skewed, especially because when you're trying to find things to complain about, then you will find it. Like, bruh. They clearly operate on a black and white morality scale. The problem is that they take the evil part. To seriously and overcompensate on characters who shouldn't have a black and white treatment. Characters like Robin Hill. Whoa. What the hell? Robin Hill is also like a definition of a kind of, she's almost like a good she really is a good person, but like so super rash. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like at the end of volume 8, Robin was fucking almost like making out with Crow and was like super nice with like Crow and like team, and to an extension Team RWBY. Like Robin Hill was like literally like becoming like one of the good guys and one of the crew. Like she did become one of the crew at the end of volume 8. And even in volume 7 she was like doing a lot of rash things because she didn't have enough information. But that's also like kind of how like real people are. Like watching volume 7 is kind of like is very interesting because due to a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunication and people also not wanting to communicate with one another, people like end up doing a whole lot of fucked up shit and making a lot of mistakes in the process. Like Ironwood not wanting to admit that he fears Salem. He just wants to be this bravado guy, but while also trying to escape like a coward. And he's also, and Robin Hill also not wanting to talk it out or not wanting to wait things out and see how things go and just rush into action, thinking whatever she's doing is right. I think Volume 7's writing is also like really good specifically because of that. Volume 8 is not bad. I just think the situation of Salem trying to destroy the world kind of like forces everyone into an ultimatum. They either try to team up with Team RWBY to try and save Mantle and Atlas, or try to team up with Ironwood to abandon Mantle and then go to the sky with Atlas. So it kind of like forces everyone into this ultimatum, and people have to choose either one, or stay in the bunker like the people at Mantle. It's weird. Like as soon as they say, I think a lot of this is just trying to complain more than anything. Like Robin Hill is a definition of a great character. If anything, I think she's actually a really good person, but with very impatient, very action focused person. And Adam is an asshole. He always was. We just didn't know much about him in the Black trailer, and in Volume 3, like he's trying to kill Blake and trying to kill a bunch of students. And Ironwood is like one of the best written character, the most greatest character in all of RWBY, probably. Poor guy. You know, I still kind of feel bad for him. He did some very hard decisions, but like those weren't the worst decisions, in all honesty. Like if like Osmond didn't like create a Deus Ex Machina teleporting machine, then I would almost go as far as to say Ironwood has a point, you know, because like if Salem like revives, and sure like Team RWBY and Team RWBY could like attack Salem, the revived Salem, and try to subdue her, but what if she like summons the giant whale again? Then at that point, then trying to go with Ironwood might actually be the only choice they might have left. However, I do admit that there are some things that Ironwood did that are just so fucking petty. Like trying to destroy the ships that are going out of Mantle. But at that point, I think it's less about Ironwood being like a like super evil and more to the fact that he wants people at Mantle to be hostages. Like that's the point. So even then, like trying to shoot down the SDC ships that are trying to evacuate people. It's a logical move. It's a very stupid move in the grand scheme of things, but you can also kind of like understand the logic. Okay, if I allow the ships to go and collect all a bunch of people and go out of Metal, then sure. Then I threaten to destroy Metal. Then somehow like RWBY said, you know what? Fuck you. You can destroy Metal. We have already evacuated a bunch of people. It doesn't matter if a few people gets blown. Like, what if RWBY just said that? Ironwood didn't want that. He wanted as many hostages as possible, so he decided to blow up the ship. So yeah, dick move, bro, but at the same time, I kind of understand the logic. Yeah, I think this is like one of the weirdest things about fiction writing. You say something is bad, but at the same time, what if like the thing that's like you're trying to criticize just more mature and better than you? What if you're just being an absolute baby and you're not understanding something or someone? I think Robin is a kind of cool guy, and a lot of people are just conditioned to think that, oh, whatever the law says is good. We need to be stable and work with the government and try to have elections, and only the elected power elites can do good stuff. No, fuck that. Robin is trying to do the good stuff. And, in all honesty, I can also see myself doing something similar to Robin at certain points. Like the situation in Mantle was like going really bad. Like if I wasn't such a fucking lazy bastard, I also might have been doing similar stuff in real life. In real life, fighting against authoritarian regimes, kind of similar to Robin was doing in Volume 7. Like I'm not as like jumping the gun type of guy, similar to Robin, and I'm also kind of lazy. Like trying to kill a bunch of people, fight a bunch of people, only to make this world a little better place seemed like such a fucking drag, in all honesty. That's probably why I'm not doing it. I mean, that's your opinion. Like, why do people have this so much tunnel vision towards their own mentality and their own opinions? It's kind of ridiculous. Adam, like Robin, is a terrorist and was originally written to be more neutral. Really? Was he? I don't know. I think you guys are just I think this is just a situation of I want things to find to complain about. I mean, if the RWBY critics were a RWBY character, they would be the real users of a character because they did nothing to help anyone or anything, and then they just constantly complain about stuff. That is what the RWBY critics, their characters would be. Holy shit. Robin is a terrorist who did good things, but I think she's evil. I think Adam is a terrorist who did bad things. The show wants to say that Adam is a terrorist who did bad things, but I think he actually deserved better. He became a psychotic bastard. So what the fuck is your point? If someone is trying to do the right thing by screwing over the law, you're saying that they're a nuisance. But if someone is a terrorist who seemed like a good person but also kind of went off the deep end, you're saying that they were flanderized. So what the fuck do you want? They don't manage it well, and they don't work well with plots that need to portray them written with great morality, creating this irritating criticism of our way or highway. Like I said, I said what I needed to say. Fuck them. Fuck them bad arguments. Okay, I think I'm doing a fucking wrong thing. I am putting it at hot. Maybe I'll just do top this week. Holy shit, what the fuck is this? This is just so fucking funny. Also, man, this picture of Yang is kind of hot. Rewriters give minor characters from older volumes more substantial roles and developments. Rooster Teeth adds 100 brand new or one-off characters every volume. Like, what's wrong with new characters? Besides, like, due to the positioning of the world, you really can't bring back old characters. Like, Atlas is a completely new place. So, aside from like Flint and Neon, who actually did live in Atlas, and even like the fact that Flint lived in Atlas was foreshadowed in, and it was shown like literally he talked about how like Weiss was Talon's child and mocked her. So it was very apparent that he lived in Atlas. So naturally, only Flint and Neon showed up, and their team showed up in volume 6 and 7. And apparently, nobody really lived in Mistral, I guess. None of the other students. The other cool students live in Vacuo, so we're probably going to see them in volume 9, potentially volume 10. Oh man, this Cardin posting is fucking hilarious. Cardin cocks John in the fix only because Ryder wanted it to happen. Wait, what? Pyrrha never was John's girlfriend. What the fuck are you talking about? Jesse, what the fuck are you talking about? Pyrrha literally fucking force kissed John in volume 3. What are you saying? Pyrrha being John's girlfriend. Wait, what? Pyrrha being John's girlfriend in those fixes only because Ryder said so. Oh fuck, you're right. Wait, what do you mean? I mean, yeah, that's how writing works, fucking dingus. I mean, more like John is the pointless relation with Pyrrha only to get caught. Yeah, 4 parallel universes ahead of you. That seems hot. Yeah, this is true. I'm not going to say anything. This really was like deleted. But I think there's also a reason for deletion. Mainly because the fact that time dilation has a... Like oh my god, sometimes I have to like ask like freaking... There needs to be more World of Remnant, okay? Like, fuck people who think World of Remnant sucks. If anything, the real problem of RWBY is that there aren't any World of Remnant. What basically was the explanation the fandom and the people I had spent time on Discord gave an explanation is that time dilation is a very weak, very risky usage of power. Yes, it does speed her up tremendously, but the downside is that she slows down and freezes. Her body just literally freezes in time after using time dilation. That's why the grunt was able to grab Weiss. Because I was also thinking that, okay, it's kind of weird that Weiss was like hitting the grunt a bunch of times with super speed, and then suddenly the grunt was so like increased in speed and able to grab Weiss. But that's not actually the case. In reality, the reason the grunt was able to grab Weiss's face and pummel her to the ground was because time dilation's negative effect makes it so that Weiss freezes in time after using time dilation. So, yeah. I mean, she could use it. It's kind of weird that they never like tried to implement it into the fights. But I guess, I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, on one hand, yes, the negatives outweigh the positives, definitely. But they could like try to at least make it Weiss talk about why she's not using it, or make her actually use it and then get clapped and her like realize, okay, there is a fucking stupid mistake. I'm not going to use time dilation ever again. Like, if she says something like that, like at least mentioning that ability would be nice. Yeah, but you know, like RWBY is such a fucking tight show, and the characters never talk about power levels because that takes too much time. Yeah, she lost to a freaking White Fawn's grunt, White Fang grunt, because she used time dilation. So yeah, to be fair, Summoning is kind of broken. Like being able to like double team an opponent is just too good. The only like problem with it is the startup time. But she kind of like learned how to give herself more time, like trying to create Mystic versus Marrow. Like she learned in Volume 7 from the battle she had in Volume 5. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, like at the end of the day, it's subjective. I'm not going to say like this is better than the other. I really like cool rapier action, but just saying, something is really strong. And it might objectively be the stronger move. If there is a bit of a debate that could happen. Yeah, this is an interesting debate. I mean, it could happen. I mean, it's also kind of like the only way to... But I mean, it doesn't really have to be that way. Like, Full Metal Alchemist's Brotherhood is like one of the examples where the main characters kind of like remain weak, but at the same time, they're still kind of helpful. They're still kind of relevant to the plot, but like not that much to an extent. They're really like important at the start where we followed their story, then the story kind of like branched out, became humongous of so many different characters. RWBY is also kind of very similar to that. We kind of like started with Team RWBY, then we were introduced with Maidens, and there are bunch of other characters were introduced who were just as important to be the main characters. Yeah. Of course, the characters are traveling to different places, so that way focus is still on Team RWBY. And like, why do you want this to yeah, obviously there's a reason why they're not like getting powers. For one, the biggest problem I think is the fact that if you become a Maiden, you're essentially like a giant target for Cinder and like Salem. So if you actually want one of your Team RWBY members to live, you don't want to give them Maiden powers. There's also the fact that, well, yeah, the people having Maiden powers and them transferring to one other people kind of makes it so that the transferring aspect, in order for the transferring aspect to play a major role in the story, the person with the Maiden powers has to die. So naturally, a lot of side characters end up having Maiden powers, so that we could watch some cool power transfers happen and different people having different getting Maiden powers. Otherwise, if it's kind of like a permanent change, right? Like if, for example, what if RWBY took the Maiden powers? She's going to have that power like forever. If she ever loses that power, then it's going to be when she fucking dies. And Rooster Teeth as a company clearly don't want to kill their freaking mascot. So yeah. And also, like, having an OP character kind of sucks in some ways, because one of the advantages of having a weak character is that, like, RWBY, Wise, Yank, and Blake, like, are forced to use like cool weapons like rapiers, martial arts, or sword battles and scythes. Whereas if they become maidens, then they will literally be spamming magic. And I think everyone who's kind of creating RWBY kind of also know that the maiden fights aren't the greatest. If anything, one of the biggest fan favorite fights are something like Foot Fight, Nevermore Fight, and Adam versus Yang and Blake. Crow. My favorite. I also really like Aesop versus Team RWBY and Crow versus Clover and Tyrion. I personally really like that fight, and I think a lot of the fandom really likes that fight too. And you can't have that physical, somewhat grounded fighting style if your main characters are spamming magic powers. I think that's one of the reasons. It doesn't have to be, a bad thing. If anything, it might actually be a better alternative than giving main characters main powers. Oh, holy shit. There is some Cinder hatred. I mean, there's a lot of reason to hate Cinder, in all honesty. Not just because, she badly written, more so the fact that she killed a lot of people, and even if you're like a viewer you are watching, there are a lot of people who just want revenge from Cinder even if she's a fictional character. Only because it means she paid for her crimes and this. Yeah, yeah. And even if they bullshit a redemption there for Cinder, at least she doesn't get to survive. Oh, you see, little Dark Wolf. Artie will definitely give Cinder redemption, but not through death. She stays alive for sure. I have no fucking clue. I really have no fucking clue what the fuck will happen to Cinder. That's also like interesting, right? There are so many ways Cinder can go. She might die fighting Salem because she realizes that being true to her own self and being free is better than surviving. Maybe she like came to the realization that she is being controlled by her fears, and that is like getting in the way of her achieving true freedom and her true freedom of being herself. So maybe she'll die fighting Salem. Maybe she'll actually like run away from Salem and beg Team RWBY to join her. Or maybe she'll just going to get killed by one of the main characters. Who knows? Like anything can happen, honestly. Depending on what Miles, Carey, and the writers think, depending on what the logical character conclusions could happen. Because sometimes, like, people love to say that, certain things happen because the writer wanted it. And that's true, but at the same time, if you're like a really writer who's dedicated to making everything feel natural, then it's also very natural to write a certain conclusion to happen. Like it's just like trying to play chess, right? Okay, Salem is going to do this. RWBY and Team RWBY is now going to do this. Then these characters going to do this. Like you are like influencing the plot in the way by making new characters and new plot points and new plot conveniences, but generally you're not messing with the character's own free will. So you can't just like make RWBY fucking, I don't know, like torture Yang because you feel like doing it. That's just out of character. So naturally you just try to roleplay as their characters and make them do things that are natural for their characters, and naturally they might go to a certain direction. I think Cinder being found out and like escaping from Salem, then leaving alone by herself, and then finally joining Team RWBY might actually be a logical conclusion. And I'm not trying to like say like if that actually happens, I'm not going to say something like, oh, Miles love like Cinder, like that's why they are doing this. Like, I mean, yes, that might be true. I mean, they really truly love Cinder, but at the same time, I think that seems just very logical. There's no reason for Salem to like let her like live and be powerful for this long, and she also probably might realize that Cinder is bullshitting her. Cinder told a lot of bullshit lies at the end of Volume 8. Man, like, these fucking RWBY critics are such creative people. Like, every fucking RWBY critic is writing a fanfic. Truly, hatred is stronger than love. Because really, hatred is obsession. Love is just love, you know. You kind of love things, you enjoy things, and you're okay with it. You're not either for or against. When you're obsessed with something, you also kind of hate the thing that you're obsessed with. Ah, man. I mean, Mercury, he was never really a bad person. I mean, to be fair, nobody's really a bad person. I think that's also a takeaway. Like, at the end of the day, might think Salem is an evil person by morality standards. Anyway, she kind of is, but at the same time, she just wants someone. She's just someone who just desperately wants to die. You know, she lived for too long. And she lived so long to the point that she just stopped caring about morality in general. I mean, in general, people also think that they're moral and righteous because, you know, they're like, that's their true nature. Like, people love to pretend that they're like helping other people and being a good person is their true nature. But a lot of the times, a lot of people are just good people because being bad means that you're going to get killed by society. That's one. So being an actual good and pretending to be a good person is an actual defensive mechanism. That's one reason why people are good. B, when you're saying good, you're a good person, then other people worship you and give you money, and there are all sorts of beneficial aspects in pretending to be good. And C, people are just conditioned to be good. From a young age, our parents just told us, hey, killing is bad, robbing people is bad, letting others be your slave is bad. Then Salem was like, I lived long enough. I realized my parents were fucking bullshitting me. Fuck them world. I just want to fucking die. I don't care. She doesn't have like any compassion towards other people. She's super egoistic. But at the same time, she's also doing all this just because she's, tired, right? She just wants to fucking die. And even the fact that her saying like irredeemable things is kind of like bullshit, right? Like, imagine, sure, people are like saying this certain things like, oh, someone did something so unforgivable, they must die. Okay, so things just don't end with death. Like, sure, if you're an atheist and you don't care, then sure, whatever. If you're a Christian, then you think, oh, they should burn in hell forever. But even then, like, letting someone burn in hell forever is kind of like weird, right? Like, it's super evil in my opinion. So, like, what's evil? Like, someone killing someone or doing a bunch of robbing someone. Like, you might call that someone evil, but I would go as far as to say wanting someone to, like, be burned for eternity and also, like, and be, like, rejected by society and ridiculed for the rest of their life to be an also evil thing. And what if, like, reincarnation is actually like the real truth? What if like Buddhists were actually right in that things don't just end with death, you reincarnate into a different body. So like if Mercury dies and you think, oh, that's a good riddance, and suddenly like Mercury becomes a baby in another person's womb, and Mercury like lives out her life, then somehow there's people like create a certain device that found out what a person was in their previous life. So what? Are you going to like enslave like a little child or beat up or kill or imprison a little child just because they did bad things in their past life? Are you going to say that? Like at one point you kind of have to like realize, okay, like this can't keep going on. Like 20 years, 50 years in past life, in heaven or hell, whatever happens after death, like, are you saying that person should also like suffer even after death? Like at what point does revenge have to like end, right? Like all these like punishments have to end somewhere, sometime, especially if they're not effective. Oh man, I'm like fucking screaming into the microphone. I hope that kind of didn't fuck things up. Yeah, it's true. That kind of type of stories are kind of cool, but at the same time, like, isn't that literally happening with Team RWBY? Like, they're literally fighting against maidens, a little hound, and an immortal witch that can't be killed. Like, this is such a tunnel vision. People just like, it's such a tunnel vision. Like, just not realizing that this type of story is like almost every story. And that's especially true for RWBY because Team RWBY and like a lot of our main characters have been going against people who are much stronger than them or have so much advantage over them. And also, who fucking cares if someone has a semblance or not? There are a lot of characters in RWBY that have semblances, but their semblance is shit. Like, Ren's semblance is absolutely useless in a fight. Same with Robin. Robin's semblance is also fucking useless in a fight. And Tyrion's semblance is also kind of really shit. It's like kind of useless, but also not really. Good riddance. Yeah, Cinder truly did live. I mean, to be fair, I kind of wish Cinder lived and also stayed as the villain, because the villains are kind of running out. Now it's only just Salem. I mean, it's kind of like understandable why that's the case, because like this is Salem is so funny. Like working for Salem is so funny. It kind of reminds me of that funny meme comedy video where the German soldier said that are we actually the baddies? Like, are we actually the villains in this story? Because if you're like working for a witch and that witch is like attacking innocent people through army of the undead, how the hell are you supposed to work that person and think that, yes, I'm doing a good thing? Like, how the fuck are you supposed to think that? I think that's also why like there are so few villains now left in the show. I mean that, and also Cinder, like Salem just really doesn't give a fuck. Like, she is literally immortal. Sure, it will like greatly like increase the speed of her death, of her goals if she had, subordinates, but at the same time, she doesn't really need to go out of her way to get subordinates. MK is stating at some point that Team RWBY will not become maidens. But plans get changed on the fly when it suits them, so who knows? I don't know. Why are you so passive aggressive?